like having trouble because I love the way that you taught us. I really love and gravitate to only your strategy, but it's
Mhm.
just hard trying to, incorporate it on such a small time frame.
Jason, she was also talking about the
Got
five.
it. No, yeah, I say I trade futures too, but I took Jess's course for the information and structure, but I trade on
Yeah,
like an hour
yeah,
time frame.
yeah. Hey, Jess, she was talking about scalping as well. She had mentioned when she first brought it up, she had mentioned something about the 5 minute time frame, and I had mentioned to her that we taught intraday.
Okay, okay, so first off, my course doesn't teach scalping, intraday, or swing trading. It teaches you structure, and based off of how you trade, you apply it to whatever type of trader. That's why in the end, where we talk about like a trading plan, the market is the market. You know what I'm saying? So how you learn the market, you have to know all of the time frames to be successful in the market. Even if you're a scalper, you still have to be aware of the higher time frame because if you are only paying attention to the nooks and crannies, you're going to get it might work a week, 2 weeks, and then on your third week, you're gonna get your head blown because you weren't paying attention to everything. So that's first and foremost. Now, let's take it a little bit further. You can also be a primarily swing trader and not know anything about the smaller time frame. And literally, you're only paying attention to the higher time frame. And if you don't understand the smaller time frame, then you're gonna have terrible entries when you get in. So if you lost a lot of money, like I would say kind of look inward because I mean, we just had somebody from the course that made $1 million and somebody from the course also that just hit their $100,000 on, and a lot of other successful people too. Now, when I say look inward, it's not from a sense of arrogance, but it's a sense of sometimes we put ourselves on the market opposed to taking the market for what it is. Does that make sense? So, just as for instance, what's the best way to explain this? You can have seeds. You could go to a Home Depot and have seeds, right? But in order for seeds to grow, they have to be planted, right? Just as we have to kind of really, when I talked about that silent season video, we have to go in like a silent place in order for what we want to necessarily blossom. So I know a lot of people that come to this course and they want to trade and all the different things, but their life necessarily isn't in alignment with their desires for this. And money isn't the option. Like, just keep putting money in. It's the skill set that I want you guys to focus on because you can have $100,000 and lose it all if you don't understand the skill set. Whereas you can have $500 and if you understand the skill set, you could grow it to $100,000. Does that make sense? So my thing for you, or for anybody who might have struggled or been struggling or whatever the case may be, hopping around isn't necessarily the answer. I think you should go into like what you think is in alignment for you, but just scalping off the 5 minute isn't necessarily the answer. Um, um, but let's talk to people who do actually futures because I think there are a couple of them on. You remember Fabiola who took the course and she made $20,000 from it and she does futures. Fabiola, hold on. Fabiola, you do futures, right? Wait, let me read the chat. Are you on here today? And a guy just said he did futures too. Fabiola,
Yeah, I'm on. I'm on.
hey girl.
Hey.
Okay. You do futures, right?
Yes.
Okay. Well, would you like to give her some clarity, or whatever the case may be?
Um, Market structure is market structure. Like, in the course when we did the homework for the top-down analysis, it's the same thing that applies. So, every week I do my top-down analysis. Um, start from my highest is most of the time I'll go maybe 4 hours, but I already have my chart marked. So I go back 4 hours, then I work my way down to 1 hour, 30 minutes. I look for my entry mostly 15 and 5. But my analysis is never on the 5 or 15 because you're gonna get chopped. So I just took a trade on gold and I met my target already. And I it's just a top-down analysis. It's nothing different. It's the same thing from whether you're trading futures or Forex, it doesn't matter. What Jess taught us is structure. As long as you're following structure, you're good.
Um, would you like to give some insight into like, I mean, because there are a lot of people like, okay, I remember that time when I think it was last weekend. Weren't you on last weekend when Rebecca was talking, or was it when
I was on.
it was talking? And you were like you made your money 20 times over from the course, right?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah. So, I mean, you don't have to share with everybody like how much you're at. I don't even know. I just remember you had made that 20,000 and hit me up. You're probably way beyond that at this point. But um what do you feel like was like the clicking point for you when it comes
Um,
to this?
for me, it was hearing other students do it. Because my biggest thing was never the charts. Like that was top-down analysis was so easy for me. The hardest was psychology. So remember I told y'all as soon as I made that money and it scared me, it didn't really scare me like I'm not used to money because I do travel nursing. I'm used to making money. But it just blew my mind because it's like I made all that money and I'm like, damn, you know how long I gotta work to make this? So psychology kind of messed me up. But then once I kind of fell off a little bit because I was doing a lot of like self-sabotage. So like now I'm back disciplined now. I just get in, this is my target. I just follow structure, but my like I said, my entries are on a lower time frame because I don't like the drawdown, but I
But your
stick to the
injuries
higher
are
time
supposed
frame.
to be your injuries are supposed to be on a lower time frame. So that's accurate. Like your
Right.
higher time frame, your analysis is supposed to be on the higher time frame because that's the only way you're going to see the market clearly. Like there are some people who, and like I said, like when it comes to futures, like you just have to know that the language is different. So like I said, GBP USD on futures is like 6B, and then you have like, you have NQ for NASDAQ. Like it's just
Mhm.
different in regards to that. Um, you
But
know what I'm saying?
market
And then
structure
you
is
have
market
different
structure.
quarters.
Right.
Yeah, and then you have different quarters and futures. But in regards to the trading application of it, and whoever else trades futures, you guys can give insight to her also. I think there was one other guy who just said he trade futures. Let me find his name. I don't
Can I
remember.
add something to that?
Sure. There was a guy that said he trade futures, right? Xavier. Do you?
Yeah.
Okay, hi. Okay, so you can add to it, Lily, you can add to it, and then Xavier can go, and then I do want to get into the market for the week.
No, I agree with what Fabiola said. It's a mindset thing. Structure is structure. And I mark on my charts. Like I've done all my assignments on the futures charts. I haven't done any Forex charts. So I'm just looking at structure to ensure that I view structure the way in which Jess taught it. But once you see structure, like it all makes sense. You just gotta also make sure that you correlate it to whatever your future charts are. Like gold moves different than the NASDAQ. The Dow and the NASDAQ move the same, and then like S&P 500 or the ES, it moves differently than NASDAQ and the Dow. So you just gotta understand what chart you're trading. That's it.
Also, you can trade Forex pairs on the futures market. Like you got GBP USD, NZD USD, all of that. As long as the quote is USD, you can trade them on the futures market.
Yeah. Um, yeah, yeah. All of that, everything that they just said. But like I said, also, like I have some students who don't trade the foreign exchange market at all, and they only trade options. Like the thing that you have to understand, and the reason that I started with the foreign exchange market, because I do know it's the most complicated. I feel like once you learn the foreign exchange market, you pretty much know how to, for the most part, trade everything. But it's the application of the chart that's the most important thing. So if there's any like, obviously we all have our own learning things that we have to go through life because everybody comes from a different, what I call a frame of reference. You all look at money differently based off of how you view life, where you come from. Like some people who necessarily may not have came from money, they hold on to money. The outlook on money is just completely different than somebody with a more of a stable environment's thought process. You know what I'm saying? Like certain things, if you even if you go through traumas or certain things in your life where you may have had to like live through survival, you can look at things from a only live once mentality type thing. Does that make sense? In so many words. I tried to use that as a reference point, but maybe that wasn't a good
Yeah, it makes
example.
sense.
But I'm just trying to get you to understand because I'm reading this. I
I
actually,
think it's such a scarcity mindset that
yeah,
you're talking about. Yeah.
but I was reading this book. It was called, I think it's The Psychology of Money. It's by dang it, Morgan Housel, something like that. Do y'all know what book I'm talking about?
Yeah, I know what you're talking
Yep,
about. I get
yep,
that.
yep.
Yes.
Okay.
Good book. Good book.
Yes.
Yeah, so in this book, they talk about like a lot of different people's like upbringings. It's a lot of principles and values on money, and it's like broken down into like I think it's like I don't even remember the amount. It's been a while since I read the book, but in the book, they specifically talked about how like during the Great Depression, if y'all read this book, you know what part I'm talking about, but it's kind of towards the beginning of the book. But they talked about during the Great Depression, there was a president. I forgot the president. Again, I haven't read the book in a very long time, but they talked about how one of the presidents, when he was being elected, um, he had told people that he did not experience the Great Depression because he came from a very, very wealthy family. He said the only thing he remembers about the Great Depression was that his dad had hired more people to give them an income, but he didn't feel the effects from it at all. And so then there was another guy in the book where they talked about how he did not come from money, but then he worked his way up to be like the head of a tech company. And him being the head of a tech company, he had an immense amount of wealth and then went completely broke because he did not have wealth principles and proper discipline. And then you had this janitor that built his wealth up to $8 million. And it's like, how can you have somebody that's extremely wealthy die broke, but then have a janitor with an $8 million uh I don't know, what's it called? A thing to pass down. Heritage? No, inheritance. Yeah, whatever. Y'all get what I'm talking about. But in so many words, it talked about wealth principles, all those different things. So maybe read that book because it's a good book on money and psychology and all of the things. But I truly believe that like once we all in any way, certain shape or form, whether it's trading, money, life, fitness, business, like you can apply it to so many different aspects. But once we get out of our own way, we are unstoppable. And I think that maybe if anybody's struggling, like remember when we did that fast and maybe tap back into that, different things of alignment, because once you learn a skill set, it is no stopping you. The only thing that stops you once you learn it is your own mind. Okay? Everybody on the same page?
Yeah.
100%.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Yes.
Thank
All right,
you.
so no problem. And then also like, it's we're in a time right now, like look and do this as many times as you need to. Because the only reason I even had Rebecca on last weekend was because that one girl had said that it was like very encouraging for her to hear Latoya's story of her making her $1 million. But like I've mentioned many times before, what don't take this the wrong way, but you know the analogy when they say what I eat don't make you shit in a certain way. Not trying to be vulgar, but it's like
That's facts.
it don't matter how much I come up here and talk about like I don't want y'all to take somebody's money for it, right? So I can come on here and say, oh, I made such and such money, or Latoya can say she made such and such, or Rebecca can come on here and say, hey, I made my first $100,000, or whatever the case may be. And it's like, oh my God, like that's great. Like I personally feel like people should look at the skill and the discipline behind it, opposed to looking at the number amount. You know what I'm saying? Like, because that's the part that carries you through. Like
Gotcha.
the discipline, the consistency of constantly working towards that skill set and getting in your silent season of whatever traumas and certain things you have to overcome in yourself to be successful at this skill is super, super important. Um, yeah. Okay, so I am going to go into the markets now. Anybody need anything? Everybody good? We could talk more tomorrow as a group, but we all good?
We good.
Okay, cool. Okay. Um, Let me share screen.
Jess, I was a little bit late. Can you say the name of the book that you were talking about?
I think it's The Psychology of Money, but I actually need to, like I said, it's been a long time since I've read it, but um, it's on my bookshelf at home. So when I get home, I'll check and see.
A little bit
Yeah,
more.
that's the name of it.
Okay. Okay. So, oh, look what I have up, guys. Speaking of futures. Okay, so whoever's interested in futures, go to this website, but you can look at different specs of like, like I said, like 6B is the US dollar. But you can look at different futures contracts and then you can put it in alignment for you for whatever it is. Like the young lady said, you can really trade any currency pair on the futures market, but then you have like uh other obviously other um assets too. Okay, so I don't know how many people I posted this on my Insta story. This was a buy I had gotten into earlier in the week. When price was here, I had more so of this structure, right? So this ended up, let me just rewind it a little bit more. So last Sunday, this was just off of this demand zone. And then once price had gave a little bit, I just had this going to here. I didn't really have a far out analysis for it just because we were somewhat sitting in this triangle here and we had this zone above. So I kind of wanted to see how price was going to play out. So this was just a very short, quick move that I had. But as price continued, I don't post on my Insta story often, but I was just very locked in that Monday morning. Um, so again, I don't know how many people saw it, but there we are. So this played out to this. Then this actually broke out of this triangle, broke and retested. However, this zone was here. So obviously we know like we look around, we do not, to my point, only look at smaller structure. We look at everything in what's the word I'm looking for? In totality, not just one thing. We look at everything. So this ended up coming to this zone and then dropping from there. This kind of gave like a test break and retest off of the zone area and then shot down. The bars pattern that I had for here was still, I mean, it pretty much still played out. I thought that this triangle would break and retest, but instead, like I said, it tested the zone up here and then dropped opposed to giving a trend line break and retest. But obviously, you wouldn't have entered until, well, I didn't enter up until the point where I actually had a retest opposed to out of this triangle. Now, as price continued throughout the week, price literally kept dropping. Let's take this out of replay mode. Kept dropping, and then this is where we are. Now, does anybody remember this analysis? Just curious of where we are. Do y'all remember this at all? Anybody?
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
I had
Yep.
that same analysis and it kind of frustrated me though. But
Okay. Well, before we get into your frustration, I'm gonna just run it back real quick because actually it's in y'all's group. Hold on. Let me find it real quick. Hold on, just give me a moment because I know it was on a recent call. Just give me a moment. Hold on. I remember it was a Monday, so it was on a Monday, so it had to have been either September or October. Two calls. Um, hold on. Okay, I found the area. Can y'all see my screen? I'm not gonna replay this call,
Yeah.
but I have to.
Yes.
Wait, what do you see? Do you see a replay of a video or?
No, we don't see the replay. We see
No.
what was shown earlier.
Your
Oh,
charts.
dang
It's
it.
frozen.
Oh, hold on. Okay, let me. Okay, this was the call. Okay, so where was I just at? I just had the place. Hold on. Okay, so boom, boom, boom. No, I lost it. And when you are trading, hold on. I know I just saw it right here. Okay, so September. Sorry, we were just talking about structure, so I really wanted to go over this so y'all could see it. All right, so September. Let's run it back. Can y'all see the screen?
Yeah.
Y'all can see this?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Actually,
Yes.
Can see.
I'm gonna screenshot this so that I don't lose my place in this video again. Hold on, let me just escape and then pull up the screenshot. I'll do it that way. So I don't lose my place again. Okay. All right. So
Jess, you're so freaking beautiful. I just have to say that. I'm sorry, it's just in my head.
I was
thanks.
just saying she looking like Judge Lane today.
Am I? Thank you. Wow. Thanks, guys. Okay. All right. So September, September 6th, September 6th, or September 5th, I believe it was. Okay, the first Monday of September. This was our analysis for GU. Okay. So at that point, we were like somewhere in price. I think we had, and I had talked about this giving us somewhat of like a head and shoulders pattern and then dropping down, right? This was like our long-term analysis. But remember, again, for my swing traders, it does not matter if you know the long-term play, if you do not understand the smaller structure for your entries. And then for my smaller time frame people, it does not matter if you're only looking at smaller time frame because you can be in a buy on smaller time frame, but overall structure is giving you a sell and you will get your head knocked out. Okay. So this was our higher time frame structure. So I want to show you guys this, and now I want to go to actual structure of what we see. Okay. So that's that. Now let's go to oh yeah, I can't see my screen. Wait 1 second. Share screen. Okay. Here. We are here. So that exact thing that you guys just saw was this written up. We had, what colors did I use? It was red. Hold on, let me make that bold like it just was. I should screenshot these so you could see them side by side. It's not supposed to be that. Okay. Oh, see, look, I'm messing up. Y'all get the drift though, right? Okay.
Yeah.
So that was that structure. Then I think it was purple, right? Purple was the next color. Then we had this head and shoulders. But that was for our smaller structure. And then we had our higher time frame structure. That was this. Make sense? Y'all see that?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm gonna do it side by side once we get off this call so I can like use the same I guess whatever. But anyways, that analysis that we had literally played out and it's still playing out. Okay. So ultimately, I mean, y'all can just run all the videos back. Like sometimes we do go over psychology, but all of the technical analysis videos, run them back for weeks, run them back for months, even go back to like years ago and then go to the chart then. And you guys will see all of the replays of like actual structure. But ultimately, I'm saying this because once you understand structure, the market always repeats itself. Now, there will be things where you have if, then, when type things. So when there's areas where it's like, if this breaks this trend line, price will retest and then drop. Or if this respects this zone, then we know we have a push higher. So some stuff you really do have to take it step by step before the full picture and understanding of structure is like, it's right there. Right. But the problem is I think sometimes we can just be so hasty and wanting it. Cause honestly, if you looked at the structure, even like taking it back to where we analyzed it 2 months ago, right? This sell from 2 months ago from here to here is, what is that? 630 pips. Now, in that, all of these small moves that's inside of here, whether it's highs to lows, whether it's us being in consolidation, trading from the low to the high, or us being at supply and demand zones and having divergence off where you could take a buy from that, whatever the case may be, it's just really opening our eyes to see the opportunities that are there. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Jonathan, you
Yes.
got your hand up. What's up?
Yes.
Oh, dang, I don't want to take too much time, but
Okay, what's up?
I had that buy that you showed at first when you first started sharing your screen. And I guess what frustrated me is I caught it, but I expected it to go a little bit further. And I've been catching those shorter pullback moves versus like the overall direction move. And I'm not sure exactly, I wasn't sure why, but I think it's just because I drew my fib a little bit off. So,
Your divergence zone.
Who's divergent? My divergence?
No, I was saying they pulled back to the divergence zone.
Oh,
mhm.
yeah.
So that's why, yeah.
Okay. But okay, so you said you took this vibe, but you thought it was gonna go up a little bit higher, but it's because maybe your fib structure?
Yeah, so I guess I know you always say we look for what is higher structure. I mean, the overall structure, the minor structure, and then is there like a break of structure? So
Mm-hmm.
I think I probably missed looking to the left to see that there was a break of structure. And I should have pulled like my point B down a little bit further, maybe. Um, I would share my screen, but I'm not on my computer. So
Okay,
um,
well, make sure you put a pin in that. We gonna pin that so that we can talk about it tomorrow night if you have any questions on it, or if you want to
okay,
show it tomorrow.
okay, thank you.
But I mean, I can answer it from where we are right now if you like. Because the thing is right, like when you're in these areas, right? Like for instance, I only had this coming to this point because this first part, actually, this was dragged over here because it was multiple touches. Okay. So at this point in which I drew this, I literally only drew it because I looked left to here. And then I was like, we have these stopping point scenarios. So it's like, this was just my net stopping point, which is why I had this here. And then once it got here, remember, you can set alerts at your areas. So once it got here, you start to see like not divergence, exhaustion or
Wicks.
whatever the case may be, it's like, okay, yeah, let me just go ahead and take this profit right here. Now, that's up to you if you want to set alerts and look at it. I don't got that much time, so I pretty much set TPs and keep it moving, but this is why I had this area here. Now, I did go back and look at the chart, because I still like, even when the TP gets hit, I'll set an alert to kind of know like, okay, you know what I'm saying, where I am in the market to kind of like, because I knew like this part, this small move didn't reach my goal for the week. So then you go back and then you analyze, okay, where am I in structure? So at this point, once I saw this zone uphill right here, I'm like, okay, this has two options. We already tested the top of this trend line. It respected it. So 9 times out of 10, we're gonna break lower. Now, obviously, long term, I already knew we're looking for a sell, right? Just from understanding long-term structure, which is what we talked about back in September, but also just understanding the structure of a chart and looking at market structure. We know a sale's there. However, it's not if the sale is going to happen, is when is the sale going to happen. So until you have like actual breakouts of structure, you are looking at the small, minute moves because no different than over here. Let's just say you hop in for a big sale and then this does this buy all the way to up here, right? I think this was my birthday week. This why this not marked up because I ain't trade that week. But look, 200 pips for this 2 days right here, right?
Mhm.
If you're just in a sale, remember we talked about this on one of y'all's assignments where I talk about like understanding where you are in the market. Somebody can say, oh, remember people say, oh, the trend is your friend. Trade with the trend is your friend. Okay, the trend is your friend. But if I hop in right here, not understanding the totality of where I'm going, I'm about to go 200 pips in drawdown to complete the move. That makes no sense, right? So you're taking your smaller moves inside of your structure and it's like a sum total. Like last week when Rebecca had talked about compounding, all of these small wins are compounding. Do you see what I'm saying? Make sense?
Yes, I see that. And I noticed like that's what was really helping me when I first finished the course was like, okay, going to the next zone versus holding for like those home runs.
Mm-hmm.
But I guess could you go to your 4 hour really quick and I think I can explain what I did.
Yes. It might be a little noisy on this one because this is my trading chart. So I'm gonna go
Okay.
to the 4 hour on a different broker just so it's a little bit more clear for everybody.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, so right there where that wick hit the -27,
Up here.
and it started to
Okay.
reverse.
Uh-huh.
I had started a new fib downwards, like down to the next what was that? A higher, no, lower low, yeah.
Right here?
So
Right here. Or right here.
the first one. I drew it to the first one and
Right
like
here.
the yes, and I think that's where I messed up because it didn't break structure to the left. Like I should have brought it lower, right?
Well, no, because this was the first one, that's fine, but that only pulled back to 23.6 for the first one.
Mm-hmm.
So then you bring it lower. Does that make sense? Remember, your 23.6 is what?
That's your TP1. When it's a pullback.
No, no,
If
no,
it's
no, no. 27.
Continuation of consolidation.
oh
Continuation.
23.6.
Consolidation
Oh
and
yes, that's
continuation.
your
Continuation.
continuation.
Yeah, so we didn't have consolidation right here. So I automatically know that's my continuation of my structure. So it's okay to drop that down one more. That's fine.
Okay. And so break of structure technically is when you break the previous higher highs and higher lows, or is that just like when you break like any form of structure, like whether it's a trend line or like a zone or like
Oh, well, it depends on what type of breaker structure you're talking about, because you have
okay.
different types. So
Okay.
anytime, okay, because I think this does confuse people. So let's do a teaching point real quick. All right. So your typical breakup structure of what everybody looks at in trading as a breakup structure is a series of lower lows and lower highs. Now, when a high gets broken and retested, This structure is now not going into a downtrend. So it's no longer a downtrend. We broke the structure and now we have higher highs and higher lows, right? That is a textbook
Right.
break of structure. However, a little bit deeper in understanding that is inside of this, which we've talked about before, and which is really how your second assignment is comprised, you have a whole bunch of trends inside of this, right?
hmm
So we got downtrend that's making up that push. This is an uptrend on a smaller time frame, making up that. This is a downtrend on a smaller time frame, right? Everybody with me? So we got all of these trends that's comprised, right? Now, these trends every time is breaking a structure, even though our higher time frame structure is not broken yet until we got here. Well, really until we got here. This is when our higher time frame structure got broken. But these are structures breaking left and right because anytime you go from a downtrend to an uptrend on any time frame, it's a break of structure. You can have a break of structure on a 5 minute that is a continuing structure on a 15 minute, right? Does that make
Right.
sense? Also, a trend line breaking and retesting could be a break of structure because you're no longer in that trend for that trend line that you're looking at. So when I say, hey, this you're in a downtrend, you need to wait for a break and retest of that structure. Like for instance, this, let's just use a real life example, okay? So over here, right, this broke is retested here. So although I was not looking at necessarily lower lows and lower highs, a structure like that, I'm not looking at that right now. I'm looking at the fact that oh, this came from a trend to the left, it broke, retested to confirm that it's now going lower. Does that make sense?
That makes sense.
So, in technical sense, textbook, break of recess is a high or low being broken, but also it can be any structure form that's broken also.
Okay. No, that helps because I think that's the only question I don't answer when you say like, what is higher time frame structure, lower frame time frame structure, and is there a breakaway structure? I just didn't know if there's supposed to be multiple variations or definitions to a breakaway structure. So that
Because
helps.
like for instance, right? If we say what's 4 hour structure, 4 hour structure is consolidating. We came from an uptrend. We all know this is our overall uptrend. However, 4 hour time frame, this is a big consolidation area that price was moving in, right? And then we had, like we see on, I'm gonna just use this. I'm gonna use it there. I'm gonna do it again, but I'm gonna do it on. Well, I'll have it ready for y'all tomorrow, so we can go over it in more depth on the Monday call. I mean, on the Monday call. But just like in y'all's assignment, where you have this right, this structure is still structure. It's just structure on a different time frame. Do you see what I'm saying? Like we don't necessarily have highs and lows of 4 hour structure being broken yet. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
Does it make sense to everybody? Everybody with me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So what you're drawing right now is 1 hour, correct?
Yeah, technically. This isn't 4 hour. I'm just doing it on the 4 hours so you guys can see. This is more so the 4 hour structure was the blue line that I had drawn in there for you guys on the screenshot that was before this one.
Yeah.
This would be a higher time frame structure. So this would technically be like your higher time frame structure, and this is a smaller structure that's inside of that structure. Does that make sense? So you have this uptrend that literally goes into like a head and shoulder formation and then drops. I think when we analyzed it originally, we were right. I'm gonna draw a bubble on it so I can look back at the screenshot and see. We were right, like, I don't even think we had hit this low right here. I think we were like somewhere right there, I believe.
And just real quick, like I feel like
Oh, we did
my
hit that low.
my issues are similar to Jonathan, where it's like just making sure I'm drawing my fib like at the right exact place.
Okay, which part?
So and I like how I think you provided a lot more clarity like on the current structure, right? We're currently in like a overall downtrend structure right now. And so my fib is like right above where we didn't hit that negative 20. We didn't hit the negative 61.8, but we did surpass the negative 27 on the 1 hour fib. Is that accurate?
So this structure fib. So
Mm-hmm.
for instance, this is the main one that he said he had on here, right? Jonathan, I want to make sure. This is where you had your fib right here? This
Yes.
23.6? Okay. So let's put that there. Okay.
No, I got
So
it. Just like that. Go ahead.
you say yours is just like this?
It looks just like that. Yeah, I extended it. Mm-hmm.
Okay, yeah, that's fine. That's fine. And then like as price. So like if we look at where we are right now, right? We see we have like hmm, so I wish this wasn't as high up as it was and this wasn't as low so that it would be like very, very clear divergence going straight like this. Wait. Okay, there we go. Clear divergence instead of going, which would go like this would be clear divergence. The fact that this low on this RSI is that deep, I don't really like that for my divergence. So this could possibly push down again. Oh, let me go to a smaller time frame. But we all know like your divergence has to finish diverging before you are expecting that pullback. But when this pulls back, yeah, this could potentially push down one more time. Now, again, it's already reached, like, even if we go to this next low, it'll probably be at a negative 27. Both of them are fine. Whether you want to, like, when you say, Jessica, I don't know which one to put my fib at, all of them will line up. So for instance, you see how this is kind of lining up to be a negative 61.8. However, I'm sure if I drop this to the next one, where price will land is like negative 27. Yeah, right on the money. You see that? You see that? So like when it comes to your structure and like, okay, where do I put my fib, whatever case may be, I always extend if it's 23.6, hands down, always. If it's like a 38.2, 50%, 61.8, I mean, if it's a 38.2 or 50%, remember I'm looking for price to go to my negative 61.8, not just my negative 27. But sometimes when I'm at like a higher time frame like this, and then I know like my target area long term could be a little bit lower, then I'll extend it just to see, but it might not always reach that negative 61.8. So that's what you have to be mindful of. And then if it does, sometimes it's just gonna happen way, way, way in the future. Because remember, we're analyzing a higher time frame right now. Does that make sense? Opposed to like our smaller time frames where we can draw fibs on, for instance, let's just draw it inside a structure, for instance. So like this trade that I was in earlier this week, you could put a fib on this structure that's a smaller time frame fib. Your highs to your lows are aligning left and right. Okay, this literally hit negative 27, pulled back, then hit negative 61.8 and reversed, right? Those are the ones where it's like these fibs, once they're done, they're done. I'm not really reanalyzing them, retouching them, nothing like that. But those higher time frame fibs, you have to understand that that negative 61.8 or that negative 27 for that overall higher time frame projection can take a very, very long time to hit, which is why you don't just stay in those trades and you have to be mindful of those stopping points. Does that make sense? That makes sense to everybody?
Yes.
Yeah.
Mhm.
100%.
Okay, cool. Kelly, what's up?
What's good? I just wanted to ask a quick question about that little sell or the little buy that you had in the area up at the top.
Uh-huh.
Right there, right there.
Mhm.
You take that as a buy or you just had that on there?
Oh no, I took it. This was the first one I took. When I was saying that I knew my thing wasn't gonna be reached. I took it because I was at this demand zone right here.
Uh,
When I had first analyzed it. And then this was like I had went to the gym super early this morning. Y'all know sometimes I go to the gym at 4:30 a.m. So this was literally happening right before I was leaving out to go to the gym. Yeah, it was, Monday at 3 a.m. So I was just eyeing the market and then I saw it and then I had kind of remember I had a triangle from here. Yeah, here. I had this triangle formation right here. So I was already expecting price was going back and forth inside of this. So I either knew price was going to break and retest here or push up again. So once I saw like this area, this push up it had to happen, if that makes sense. Like
oh,
in real lifetime.
okay, yeah, I'm kind of struggling with that because I've tried to take stuff like this in the past. I would have sold, maybe not have sold that, but I would have been looking for the sale because like
Well, I was looking for to sell too long term because remember, I know my bias, but remember, there's a lot of small things that can happen in the midst of what we want to happen overall first. You know what I'm saying? So just even understanding that
Yeah, there was minor diversion as well, break of the trend line.
yeah, but also understanding like that you're in your minor area. So let's take off everything and just look, right? And let's just look left. I understand that like I'm in the midst of a consolidating area. Like price is literally going back and forth. And then I was at a zone right here. You see the zone right here?
mm,
So yeah, like
I don't know. I just would have had a hard time buying it off of that. I just feel like it didn't
well,
break.
don't though. If it's not clear to you,
Oh,
don't take it.
trust me, I wouldn't have. I'd have lost too much money, but I definitely was curious on why you did right there. I just feel like you're psychic, low key. You know what I'm saying?
No, don't say that.
Like, I'm
Don't
not
say
gonna
that at
lie to you.
all. Don't
Jess,
say that.
question, Jess.
Don't say that.
Did you jump on? All right, you said you didn't like the first move, and then you jumped in back at your green box.
No, not the green box. I had this marked up. So just like when y'all do y'all's analysis or whatever it case may be, once my TP was hit right here, it literally pushed back down. But remember, that was just my net stopping point, and it was only my net stopping point because technically, if I did not have this triangle here, because I posted this triangle on Instagram, if I had not had this on here, right, then my next stopping point would have been my zone. But I literally just looked left. Like in real lifetime, I just looked left and that was my next stopping point. So I was like, I'm gonna just take this to here. And that was that. Now, after that was done and I saw this push back to here, I'm like, this either gonna break and retest this trend line. I mean, yeah, I knew long term I was looking for sales. I'm like, this gotta at some point break or retest this trend line, but I didn't enter it because I knew this zone was right here too. No different than on the flip side, which I didn't get in for this second buy going up here. But you see how this retested this zone? So it could have done it both ways. Like this could have broken retest this trend line, but respected this zone and pushed back up. Just like right here, it broke and retested this. I'm gonna go to the 15-minute so you can see what I'm talking about. Because remember, and I'm using this as a teaching point too, so that you understand how not to like get caught up on fake outs in the market for this, right? So this broke and retested this, okay? That don't mean you enter just because you got a break and retest, because if the situational awareness around you does not present a healthy circumstance
Oh Lord.
is why you say oh Lord? Okay, maybe he's talking to somebody else. But the situational awareness around you does not present a healthy circumstance. Okay? In so many words. So yes, I have a break and retest, but ring the alarm is also
You were too close to the zone.
huh?
It was too close to the zone, right?
Exactly. Just like if now I had this here, but I still was treading carefully, which I didn't enter right here. I entered left because it was way more clean and way more clear. But here, right? Right here, same thing. You could have broken retest this trend line, but then had this zone that you're still coming to the same problem with. And the thing is if you have to guess, it's no point in really taking it, the position. This was just clear because it was like, okay, boom, 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 da da da. Test off of this. I have a zone test. I have a trend line test. I'm only gonna carry it to here. It's not really no risk because I'm consolidating anyways. Let me just carry it to here, take profit, keep it moving.
True.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
This is where it gets tricky. Like anytime it's tricky, just sit in your hands until it's clear, until it's clean. Okay.
Yeah.
So we push down so heavy on GU just to run this out because it's 9:30, and then we're still gonna meet tomorrow. I'm gonna sit on my hands for a second until something in the morning presents itself better, because I want to make sure this doesn't push down one more time. However, I am expecting a pullback of some sort, and then long term a continuation. But you see how steep this is, but it has to finish before we do anything. So we don't really have anything yet. Like obviously, again, I'm looking for a pullback, but let's chat tomorrow on our call tomorrow night. Now, they could move and shake, obviously, London session. So keep your eyes on the lookout. Like draw a trend line, see if you got a break and retest on the top of structure. And see if there's anything desirable because this was a beautiful sale, but it's still the sale was very strong. So we do know we're expecting a pullback in structure. I would say once price pulls back, your first pullback area to test would be here first before anywhere else, and then look to your zones after that, or your higher zones after that. Everybody with me?
Jess, can you repeat that again? Where's you said the first pullback will be where?
My first one would be like right here. Yeah. My first one would be this area first. I'm on a 1 hour, so it don't look that far, but here. So this will be my first area. Oh no. Go back. Yeah, my first area would be here first, because then once we get here, this is just for smaller moves. Because once we get here, we could push back down again, and then your next area would be your net zones of price, wherever price is from those areas. Now, y'all know on my because these are my trading charts, it looks like a lot of chaos on the hold on. Wrong one. Where's my other GU chart? I felt like I marked up another, oops, not that. Another broker somewhere that I'm not seeing. Maybe I'm tripping. That's the one we did first. Okay. So anyway, we'll revisit this tomorrow. But yeah, so my first area, like I said, my first area, once this finishes divergence, my first area would be like basically this. And then from there, we would continue, but incremental. Don't just get in a frenzy and just take it for a straight buy up. Okay.
quick question, Jessica. So I was wondering at that trend line at the top where you took the buy up, if you draw the trend line, where was the second point to know, okay, this is a zone, it's gonna go up to the top?
Yeah. This was a very minor, this was just a minor triangle as price was starting to form a wedge that I just had on there.
Yeah, the trend line at the top is fine. I'm looking about the trend line at the bottom. You said this zone, then I'm thinking about the trend line that you took up to that second trend line at the top. How did you know it was gonna bounce off of there?
What, this?
Yes, right there, yeah.
What you mean, how did I know?
No, the second spot. So just leave it the way it is. Where you took the your this bar Spartan from the bottom all the way to the yes, right there. No, keep going left, left,
I
left.
don't think the trend line was there at that time.
Yeah, the trend line was not there, so I'm trying to figure out how you knew it was gonna bounce off of. The zone was there, but what else did you was a confirmation that you knew, oh, it was gonna bounce off. I know it's consolidating there.
I'm sorry, are you talking about the trend line? You talking about this trend line right here, right?
Yes,
Okay, and you're talking about the bars pattern that I had on there that I just deleted?
yes, that you took to the trend line at the top. Yes.
The sell, or you're talking
No,
about the buy?
the buy.
Yeah, I think you didn't mark that trend before you did the you took that trade, did you?
Yeah, I marked both of them before I took the trade.
Was
Which
this zone?
part, which part are you asking though? That's the part I'm confused about.
You talking about the buy you took earlier, the
Within
buy you
that
was just talking about
triangle,
earlier.
I think he's saying what other confluences you had to enter
I
that
think
buy.
within that triangle, he's talking about within that triangle. How did you catch that triangle before you took the trade?
The triangle is already there.
No, he's saying that the buy that you took to finish your goal, because you say you haven't finished your
Oh
goal yet, and
no,
you took the.
I drew this triangle later. Right here at this point, it was only the zone.
The zone. That's what I
This
was wondering.
this line, so so like I said, this buy was first, right? This buy was first. This was the first part, and it was to this. And then once this happened, then I had this triangle drawn and that's when I had that other bars pattern that was a break and retest of this triangle right here. Does that make sense? It was a break and retest to go down to the cell.
Okay, good. So my question is, what other confluence or confirmation did you have for that one that you took from the zone to the top? Yeah, right there, from there.
Well, the first thing was me being in a zone, me understanding this was a whole like, okay, so when I talk about consolidation, we're literally going back and forth. So you have the ability to take buys and sells in the midst of. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So this structure that was here, and then I think I had drew a minor trend line in there. If you draw this here, it was like when I tell you it was literally in the morning, I woke up and just saw the opportunity. It was let me see. Yeah, but again, this is minor, so I really don't want this on here because I don't want people who are not as experienced to be taking breaks and retests off of minor structure like this until they understand higher time frame structure. But like this is clean to me. This is a very clean move.
Yeah, with the break and retest, yeah, that's clean.
But again, I only took it here because I wasn't quite sure long term where it was going to go. So again, I just looked at the fact that I was in consolidation. I had this push to here. Now, again, even though this push down, because I think that was Kelly's question, like how did you like he would say he would have took it for a sale, but just as steep as this push down was as steep as it pushed up. So again, just looking left and seeing like, okay, I'm in a consolidating area right here. I'm at area where it's this zone. Like I have some wick exhaustion on multiple different time frames. Like it's just, I mean, I don't really know how to explain it. And it's just I want y'all to read Reminiscences of a Stock Operator. I know I keep talking about this book, but in this book, he said something that was super profound where he talked about like there's an intuitive part of trading. Not to say it's not luck. I don't believe in luck at all, but I do believe the more you're in the market, you have an intuitive relationship with the market where you guys flow as one. No different than I'm Legend and Loyal's mama, and I know what they want before they cry, and I know by the way they cry if they're hurt, if they're hungry, or whatever, just because I know my kids. It's the same kind of concept, and I feel like the more somebody's like deep in their charts and in their period, like if somebody just asked me right now, Jessica, can you give me a setup on CAD JPY? I would literally have to go and do a full top-down analysis and see the flow of the market because it's not something I ever mark up. I have to go get a feel for the flow of the market and actually I have to get a feel for that actual period. Like, I mean, obviously I can mark up anything, but I would like literally have to start from the monthly, do a full top down, then like literally just look through the chart and see how it moves so that I would feel comfortable executing it. Does that make sense?
Almost
Yeah,
like
'cause
getting the edge,
I took
getting your
I
edge.
took that buy as well, Jess.
You said you took the buy too?
Yeah, but I took it off the confluence of there was a minor trend line that
Mm-hmm.
got broken that and I thought there was diversion as well to the
Yeah.
left.
Yeah. But so for where GU is right now, draw a trend line at the very top of the divergence that's going down. The only thing I didn't like about that divergence was that it had that very last peak opposed to in the RSI going completely like this going this way and this going the opposite way. However, it still looks like a strong setup. So wait on your confluences for it and then execute it. Just make sure it doesn't drop down one more time. But I'm expecting a pull back on that. The divergence just always needs to finish diverging before you execute a position, okay? All right, so I love y'all. We are